Whoa. Good morning, everybody. It is so great to see you bright and early. Thank you for making it out with us. You have a lot of options here in Las Vegas in the evening, and waking up the next morning is not usually one of them, so it is a delight to see you. I am really excited for this panel because we are talking about what is coming in retail in 2026, what entrepreneurs need to know. My name is Jason Feifer. I'm the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, so I am obsessed with what entrepreneurs need to know. And when entrepreneurs look at the landscape, you're building a company, you have a product, you want to understand, why do things pop? Why one year is something really hot? What drives that? What do consumers want? What do retailers want? What should product builders be creating? These two people with me on stage have the answers to that, so they can introduce themselves better than me. I want to hear from both of you a little bit about who you are, your background that you bring to this important conversation, and then right here on the stage right now, make a prediction for something that is going to be hot in 2026. And Robert, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so you want me to start with what's hot or
sure, hit me.
What's not?
So, either way.
So as we look ahead into 2026, it's obviously very tough to say exactly what's going to happen. We can only look at trends. I look at it from a retail standpoint, a retail buyer standpoint. That's my background. So it's a little bit more realistic than pie in the sky. One of the big trends I see for 2026, and I just see it continuing to grow, is going to be in the pet space. The pet space is a practical space, but pet tech specifically is really taken off. I think it was about 5 or 6 billion this year. They project it to quadruple in the next 5 to 10 years. Walmart, Target are expanding their footprints. Home Depot, Lowe's are starting to bring in pet departments in their stores. They're partnering with Pet Supply. So I really feel like pet tech, from a practical sense, is going to be a big winner in 2026, if I had to guess.
All right, he's pushing all his chips in on pet tech. And just very briefly, you're the Director of Business Development at Retail Bound. What is that? What is your background?
Right. So Retail Bound is an agency based in Chicago, working almost exclusively with startups and e-commerce brands that are looking to make that transition to retail. Offline retail, not just stores. We're talking about catalog companies. We're talking about TV shopping, premium incentives. So the whole gambit, that's what they do. My background, as I mentioned, retail buyer for Neiman Marcus for a number of years. I became an entrepreneur, started 3 companies, raised money, exited, and then I'm trying to combine both of them in specifically working with startups to navigate what I call the new brand journey. We live in a digital economy. We've got AI coming on very fast and furious, and startups today have a unique opportunity to reinvent the brand journey. They don't have to go down the same path as go to the trade show, talk to the rep, talk to the distributor. There's 100 different other options available, and that's what I'm excited about.
Fantastic. So on stage here, we really have a division between expertise in retail and then expertise in consumer and understanding the psychology of the consumer. So Sveta, I'm going to turn it to you now. We got to hear what your prediction is for 2026, and then give us some understanding of who you are and the background you bring to this conversation.
Good morning, everyone. So good to be here. Wow, I almost feel like Robert took the words out of my mouth.
You were also going to say pet tech?
Well, and I actually come with data. So what I do is I analyze consumer data, and I actually did a ton of analysis in preparation for today. And what I found is that in 2026, the one trend and product that will be trending will be pet tech wearables, okay?
Damn.
That is based on consumer desire and consumer discussions which have happened on social media. So I data mine millions of conversations, and in the US in the last 12 months, what I found is that AI pet tech wearables, including collars and actually anything related to feeding and routines of pets will be trending. So if you guys want to get ahead of the trend, this is probably a good time now.
Is anybody who is sitting here right now, hands up, in pet tech? Do we have anybody?
Here we go. Over here.
Yes?
Good
got
choice.
You're
Very
the
good
winner.
choice.
You came to Vegas and you're the winner. Woohoo! Congratulations. All right. Well, so, Sveta, actually, give us a little bit more there. You said you come with a lot of data. You have identified multiple trends. So pet tech clearly at the top. 2 out of 2. What else are you seeing coming in 2026?
I'll give you the sound bites only because it's very important to just highlight for all of you guys as you're ideating on your future product. LED powered continues to be at top of mind of the consumer as they're much more eco-conscious. Supplements, wellness space are very much on the trend and even more trending since the tariff announcement because medical devices, medical supplies, and medication in general is projected to go higher up or higher in price in next year, driven by the tariffs. And then, as I mentioned, pet, anything AI relatable and basically wearable, and AI personalization. So anything that's personalized AI, so products that relate to the consumer and speak a specific story. And the last one is actually the probiotic, prebiotic space, but when it comes to drinks. So basically anything that has to do with gut health, anything liquid that could maintain gut health and helping the consumer. So those are my predictions. And again, I analyze consumer data, so that's what the U.S. consumer has talked about in the last 12 months.
Amazing. Okay, so we've just laid out some of the hottest trends coming in 2026. Let's just keep using pet tech as a way of getting into how to understand the evolving retail landscape. So let's say that we're this gentleman over there in pet tech, and he's now sitting in a hot category. But of course, that doesn't mean he can't just show up at retailers and say, guess what? I'm in pet tech, and everybody just clears the aisles for him. So what does everybody need to understand about where retail is evolving to and how they can take advantage of it? Robert, why don't you take that one first?
Yeah, I can start. So, whether it's pet tech or any consumer product trying to get into retailers, the biggest hurdle, generally speaking, that we see, and I work with 5 to 10, 20 startups a week, is their understanding that the retail path is an animal unto itself, and most of the people that I talk to are just not prepared. So one of the things, if there was a hot product here or coming up in pet tech that I would come across, the first thing I do is make sure they've got a retail roadmap, right? So the retail roadmap is a plan, a go-to-market plan, just like your digital agency go-to-market plan, that maps out where your product stands, what the competition is, and what retail channels, not just stores, but channels, align with your product before you talk to anybody. That would be the first thing, because you can waste a lot of time talking to people at trade shows, trying to reach Costco because you think it's a great fit, and you're not, right? You got margin you have to worry about. You're going to be able to make money. You got discount structures. You got return policies. How are you going to support that? Is your logistics in place if they order 10,000 units? So all that has to be figured out before you have a conversation, so you're not wasting your time, and most of all, you're not losing money. So preparation would be the biggest one for me.
Mm-hmm. And Sveta, what about you? I know that you are an expert in marketing and branding. So if somebody is building inside of a trending space, again, that doesn't mean that they just get to wave a flag and say, I'm in pet tech, and the consumers come running. So what should they be thinking about, especially as technology changes, as means of distribution of information changes?
So piggybacking back on what Robert just said about the roadmap, where I can basically give advice to small business owners would be having a branding roadmap. So you're ready to go and launch a product, but what is really, who is the product? Who is the audience? Who are you selling to? You think you may know, but at the end you might end up actually selling to someone completely different. So I'd say it's definitely the roadmap when it comes to branding, and that is very much tied to speaking to your customer. So another trend that I see is that going into 2026, it's a hot mix between AI and social media, and the fact that we're bombarded as consumers right now, we're bombarded with information, with content all the time. What consumers want to see actually right now, present day, and going into 2026, is they want everything personalized. That's where the AI personalization will be very, very key. So as a brand coming to market with a product and basically trying to sell to those customers, you have to make sure that you have your branding done prior to launch and actually speaking to the customers, really to that deep, sentimental, emotional connection that you would like to do with a customer. That's the only way you'll be able to sell, and that will be the only way that you differentiate between you and other companies in the space.
So
Can I jump in
Please.
really quick? Okay, so there's an overlap, which is great, right? From what retailers are looking for and what consumers are looking for. So Sveta mentioned personalization, big trend, huge behavioral signal that retailers are aware of, right? So if you're a startup and you're looking to go and move into the retail space, know that retailers are looking for products that can deliver personalization. Okay, whether it's a tech product, AI is going a long way to being able to facilitate that, but they're looking for that. They're looking for two other things. They know we live in a digital economy. They know that the consumer journey is not flat or straight. Okay, it's a zigzag. I saw it on social media. I visited a store. I talked to a friend. There's more and more touch points, as we call it, between the consumer being exposed to your product or brand category and then actually doing a conversion, whether it's online or offline. They could see it online, buy it offline, see it offline, buy it online. So retailers know that, and they want you to bring to them your digital marketing strategy that incorporates all of those touch points. So they know that you are aware of the customer journey, and you're actually going to bring traffic to their store. The third one, which really has to pertains to logistics, is immediate gratification. So from my point of view, in a way, I think Amazon has done to retail what McDonald's did to restaurants. So when you're able to go through a drive-through and get a meal in 3.7 seconds, that ruined it for every other restaurant, right? Because now you go in and, oh, the waiter or waitress didn't come to me in 3.7 seconds. That's the standard, right? Now I've got bad service. Amazon's kind of doing the same thing to a lot of retail channels, because they're getting better and better, not all the time, but if I can order, which I've done, a product, and an hour later it's on my doorstep, that's a game changer. Retailers know that. When you're approaching a retailer, it's not just about, look how great my product is, it's how can I bring traffic, and is my supply chain lock tight? No out of stocks. We want immediate delivery, whether it's online or offline. You better have those dots and T's crossed.
Can I put that back to you in a philosophical way? I want to see if you agree or disagree. A lot of entrepreneurs think that when they go to retail, the retailer is solving a problem for the entrepreneur. They're solving a distribution and awareness problem. But what you're saying is that it's actually flipped. The entrepreneur needs to go to the retailer and say, I, the entrepreneur, the small person who's built a product, who's sitting here at Cocreate right now, I can solve a problem for you, big retailer, because you have problems, and also this buyer has problems too, because this buyer is going to be evaluated by their bosses. They have metrics. So when you go to them, you have to understand what they're looking for, and you have to be presenting solutions to them.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to jump in and say that is correct. So when the entrepreneurs go to the retailers, they can't just go with the idea. They have to go with a solution, and it has to be evidence-backed. That means data-backed, that this is not just a viral gadget that we need to put in the store right away, that this is actually a behavioral shift to what Robert said. So absolutely, bringing in the evidence, bringing in the thought of the future and how you're future-proofing that product or the category that you're entering in is key and will be key.
And you're the data nerd, so you just said you got to be bringing that data. What is the most important data for entrepreneurs to be walking into a retail meeting with?
Happy to jump in. So we all watch Shark Tank. We know the sharks are among us today. So when you watch Shark Tank, one of the first things that they ask is, well, how do you know what your demand is? What is your demand? Well, I come from social media. My whole background is consumer research in relation to social media and what people talk about on social media. That is one fast way to actually get a pulse check. So, I mean, among us, we have small business owners who don't have budgets, big budgets for marketing agencies to do any research. Fastest way to actually go to those retailers and tell them what is in demand is leveraging a simple search, free search on social media for a specific hashtag or a specific category. Seeing over time how that's trended or trending so you can actually understand consumer behavior when it comes to purchasing the product and whether that product will continue to trend. That is a free, I mean, absolutely free way that entrepreneurs can actually tackle that problem. Second option to do it, because again, I love free stuff, free research, anything that has to do with like on a budget, I'm your girl. But another one is surveys. I mean, all of us, look at how many people we're here today. All of us have large networks, families, friends, ex-classmates, colleagues. You could easily put together a survey of respondents who basically will help you guide the product. So when you go to the retailers, you can basically combine those two options, again, at a very non-existent budget or low budget, and you can actually give them the evidence. But really, what's important to look for is not the weak trend, or if it's a trend that's like short-lived. You're looking for seasonalities or understanding like longer term how those products could trend in order for you to be able to predict demand.
And Robert, it goes even deeper too, because another point of data, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you need to be walking into a retail meeting with data on how your consumer is their consumer. The target consumer is different from the Neiman Marcus consumer, so you have to understand exactly who that retailer is serving, who that retail buyer is serving, and make sure that you can prove to them that your audience is their audience.
Exactly, and the retailer is looking for a couple things. Of course, every retailer wants something innovative or that's trending. That just goes without saying, right? You can't even get in the door if you don't have that. But where the rubber meets the road is generally in that first conversation where you've got to have the data to show where the trends are, how your product aligns with those trends, how your audience matches their audience segment, and most of all to answer, let's say, 3 questions that are on the mind of the retail buyer, whether they say it or not. And this is the only thing that they're concerned about. They may love your product, they may not care about your product. The only things they're concerned with, generally speaking, is their margin, their sell-through, turn, and their revenue. You have to find a way to speak to all 3 of those. And if you can, you've got their attention. You'll get a second meeting. If you can't and you're not prepared, so data is what's going to help.
We build this conversation as trends in 2026, so I want to now take what you just said and put it back to you. What about what you have shared is changing or evolving, or that you see new opportunities for entrepreneurs to win in because of emerging technology or whatever else is coming through the retail and branding pipeline?
I'm happy to take this one.
Please.
So I see, based on what consumers have talked about online, that having a brand identity early on in the brand journey is incredibly important. And what has really been driving consumers lately has been brand story, so storytelling. So you're not just publishing and issuing content for the purpose of having many followers or just random content, but you're actually establishing a very present and very strong brand identity. And the other thing that I saw, which I found very interesting, is artisanal. So artisanal came in almost 12% of every single discussion that I analyzed, meaning any brand that is almost like either handcrafted or has some kind of angle that shows that it's very much personalized. It has the brand story and it's very unique and intricate in terms of the type of product you're selling, makes that consumer feel very special. So when they're purchasing the product, feeling like it's, you know, done and created by an artisanal company, very much seem to resonate with the customers.
That's interesting. Can you unpack that a little bit more? Because I think what I'm hearing you say in the way that you're defining artisanal is that in some way it is about an authentic connection to a creator. That people don't want to buy what feels like a generic product. They want a product that comes with a story and that is tied to a person that they trust or relate to. Is that what you're saying?
That is absolutely correct. And I think that actually ties very interestingly, it's intertwined with what Robert had said about AI and AI personalization. So if we think about it, I mean, I know they sound very different. So artisanal, when you think of it, could be like a handcrafted handbag, right? And then when we talk about AI personalization, we're thinking tech. But actually those two go hand in hand. So while I analyzed over 1.5 million conversations in the US about e-commerce and retail, 12% of those discussions talked about artisanal specifically. And then we had 22% talk about specifically AI personalization. Put them together. Basically, it is telling us that consumers, what they want to see are products that talk to them, products that are personalized to them. That doesn't mean that they can't come out of the same factory or the same place and it could be produced in bulk. They don't have to be unique, each one of them. But the brand story is where this comes to play. So how you position your brand and how it touches the consumer and deep down their emotional feelings into why they're buying this product. Basically, brands should be focusing on the emotional connection, the storytelling, the roadmap you mentioned, and making the consumer feel like this is their product. It's integrated into their lifestyle. It's not just a one-off.
Personal relevancy is your competitive advantage. That's a really interesting way of thinking about it. Robert, are retailers thinking about this too?
Yes, of course, and they're more sophisticated than you would think. So. Big shift happening recent years. Digital economy is really taking root. I think AI, the way that I'm seeing at least, shifting what I call the brand journey, startup to online to offline, is very much changing. There's a new D2C 3.0 emerging. And it is built around what you're talking about from the artisan standpoint, but also from a let's call it an audience cluster standpoint. Okay, so there is a trend right now, and it does represent to me a new brand journey where if you're a startup, you don't have to sell at Target, Walmart, Costco to make money, to be very profitable, and to have a very strong brand. Most of the sales actually aren't there anyways. There's a way in which you can balance your online and offline through specialty channels, regional channels, catalogs, premium incentive, using signal-based marketing, right? So taking the data that Sveta can create, being able to distill that down not into your ICPs or your LCPs, ideal customer profile, lookalike customer profiles, but then leveraging AI to create what we call signal segments. And these are audience clusters that come out of those ICPs that are highly targeted, let's call them micro segments, that you can build traction around with digital marketing, online, and through specialty channels. So the shift is away from mass marketing, and you're not trying, your brand is not, see if this shifts, your brand is not based on your product. Your brand going forward will be based on the audience you control. The more you can define that audience, the more you can get repeat sales from that audience, the more you can find lookalikes, and you can start to piece together the different audiences to grow your business.
And to be clear, before you jump in, to be clear, that is what you're defining as D2C 3.0.
Correct.
And I mean, everything that you just said, I'm like, oh, and we have to talk about conversions and touch points. And I want to tie that back to Axio, actually. So we talked about Axio yesterday, Alibaba's newest AI platform. Again, coming into the age of AI, Axio could be a great resource when you're working on coming up with a product and understanding that audience that Robert just talked about.
Remind everybody what Axio is. I mean, you explained it very briefly, but just for those who missed it.
Newest platform. Actually, everyone who is attending the conference, I believe, has a discounted subscription for the next few months. So absolutely, you should take advantage to it, especially if you're in the ideation stage. It is an AI-powered software which will help you guys understand how specific products could be trending. So say if you're coming up with a artisanal red hat that has to have a feather, I don't know why I thought of that, you could actually go and search within the search bar, and Axio will be able to tie that back to a multitude of data sets that they have access to, as well as match you to a supplier. So, I mean, it's so easy. I almost feel like after walking away from the stage, I'm going to go and create 5 products right away. But I did want to also point out, so the customer journey and having that audience and the touch points that Rob was talking about are very important. You don't have to go after the widest audience. So it's a big ocean out there. Actually, what Robert said is focus on your audience and the audience that resonates best to your product and honestly to you, what you're passionate about. Because that conversion of the customer will come naturally and organically once you have that brand identity and you have connected to that audience. You've created the product that they're craving, that they want to see. That is what is going to make you successful. And again, AI and the help of AI personalization and the AI tools that are available most of the time at no cost, similar to Axio.
All right, this conversation has really trended towards niche, towards really truly understanding an audience at a granular level. So ask both of you this, what tools or approaches are people sleeping on right now? What are you seeing the smartest brands utilize to really understand their audiences, to reach their audiences, to brand themselves to be relevant to their audiences?
I hate to jump in again because I feel like a broken record. Social media. I mean, that is the one fastest, cheapest way to connect to any audience, anywhere. Think of it as like back in the day, before social media was a thing. I mean, how did you even connect with people? It would have to be TV and large screens. You would have to be famous. No. Actually, now brands have their own channel in their own pocket, and that's social media. We hear about TikTok, viral trends. We hear about Instagram and the opportunity. Carve out a little bit of budget and do a bit of marketing there. It's going to go a long way into the conversion of that customer. And honestly, the cost of acquisition is probably going to be your cheapest of any other place.
I'll offer an answer to my own question. I want to see what you guys think of it. Is that what I recently heard from someone else who works in consumer psychology is that she had crafted an AI prompt for the following. She was gathering consumer reviews online and then giving it to AI and asking it to identify among all of these reviews patterns in the consumer psychology. What is the driving factor behind why these consumers are connecting with this brand? And she was finding really interesting patterns that she herself was not seeing because it's able to process so much information and then also to identify patterns in consumer psychology. And she was crafting her marketing around those insights. I found that really interesting. I hadn't thought about